All right, we need to all understand how abnormal it is that the President of the United States is openly pressuring his Attorney General live on Fox News to indict his political opponents. Donald Trump sent out a Truth Social post a few months back asking Pam Bondi to indict three people. I covered this relentlessly when it happened. I even got in arguments about this on different news networks like CNN. He said, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially the same old story as last time. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia? He spends the rest of the post complaining that those people have not been sufficiently indicted or targeted by the DOJ. We learned a month later that that was meant to be a private DM to Pam Bondi where he was pressuring her, but he posted it publicly. This is worse than Watergate. This is worse than any sort of scandal we have ever seen. It's honestly up there with Trump's fake elector scheme from about 4 or 5 years ago at this point. But Donald Trump then, in a meeting today at the White House, looks over to Pam Bondi and asks for the third name, the trio, the final name. Letitia James, by the way, has already been indicted. James Comey has already been indicted after the prosecutor from the Eastern District of Virginia refused to, then was pressured to resign and replaced with a Trump loyalist. This is open corruption, and Trump literally just admits it right here. First, let me show you my argument that I had about this on CNN.
Oh, Scott, that's not what we're talking about here. We are talking about Donald Trump's role in directing his attorney general about who to prosecute. That's what we're talking about.
Who then has to go to a grand jury and present evidence and go through the process like everybody else in this country.
But the first prosecutor, Eric Siebert, didn't want to do it, so Trump forced him out. I love watching the conservatives. Listen, I love watching the conservatives on this panel dodge and weave with zero evidence whatsoever of any weaponization. I've asked you this multiple times, and you have no evidence, yet Donald Trump tried to send Pam Bondi a DM. This should be embarrassing that you are defending the President of the United States as he is directly asking.
I'm defending a process of grand juries that's existed in this country
The thing that annoys me is they'll sit there and gaslight and say, Biden did this too. And then you ask for evidence. When did Biden do this? And they go, well, I mean, there were a few times. I can't name the exact example, but there were a few times. It's like, dude, you are sitting there on live television just defending the downfall of our democracy while it's being weaponized. What the hell? Well, how can anyone sit there and listen to this?
Right. So we'll do a few more and we'll go home.
Wonderful.
Everybody's going to go home. I'm going back to the Oval Office, however.
Speaking of Democrats, there's a report that there's a grand jury on Adam Schiff for apparent mortgage fraud. If he is indicted, should he step down as a U.S. Senator?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. I would just say Adam Schiff is one of the lowest forms of scum I've ever dealt with in politics. He's a horrible human being, very dishonest person. I have no idea what's going on. You tell me that he's going to be indicted. I don't know. You could ask Pam. I don't know if she could say it. Probably you are allowed to say it, but I wouldn't know about that. I can only tell you he's a very bad. I think he's actually a sick person. Do you want to talk about that?
We're not going to comment on any grand jury that's open. We can't legally.
I don't know.
Donald Trump trying to get Pam Bondi to talk about a grand jury indictment, and then he's acting like, oh, I don't really know much about it. Dude, you asked for 3 people to be indicted. 2 out of 3 of them have been directly indicted after you pressured the person to resign that wouldn't do that. It is incredibly sickening. Here's another clip of Donald Trump being asked about the West Bank in Palestine, and if he'll allow Israel to continue to annex it. And Donald Trump literally plays dumb. Take a listen.
Not that guy. He's so hopeless. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Could you say that louder, please?
Yes. Yesterday, there was a vote at the Knesset in Israel on annexing the West Bank. Do you see it as a challenge to your peace efforts?
Will you answer that, please? Because I cannot understand the words you're saying. Where are you from? Where are you from? You're from France. Beautiful accent, but we can't understand what you're saying.
She was saying there's a vote at the Knesset, and will you allow this annexation of the West Bank, and how does that hurt your peace efforts? It's pretty easy to hear, but Donald Trump can't. In this next clip, he says, I looked the other night, Saturday night, Portland is burning to the ground. And someone said, this is a lie. Portland isn't burning. They've been protesting and they're clashing near one ICE building in a 145 square mile city. Federal agents use tear gas and smoke Saturday. That's what they do. They escalate and then use that as a pretext.
Same thing with Portland, speaking of that, because that's where we want it. But, I mean, I looked the other night, Saturday night, Portland is like burning to the ground, and these people are saying it's just friendly stuff. The whole place is burning to the ground. So we'll take care of that one. That's like an insurrection more than it is anything else. That's crazy. Portland's crazy. And
Donald Trump is using the word insurrection while also asking Pam Bondi to target his political opponents. His political opponent being Adam Schiff for some reason. Adam Schiff, by the way, led Trump's first impeachment. That's part of the reason why Trump is so vindictive against him in particular. But then he also gaslights and tries to twist history by using the word insurrection when there's only one very clear example of insurrection in U.S. modern history, and it was this dude trying to rile up his supporters into overturning an election that clearly was not stolen. But we need to be crystal clear about the weaponization that's happening. There's nothing like this that has ever happened in U.S. history, or at least in modern U.S. history, where the president is openly directing their attorney general to target multiple people, openly moving the pieces to make sure that any federal prosecutors who don't like him resign or are fired. It's absurd. Here's Trump talking about the No Kings protests.
Great courage. I've been watching what goes on, and then you have the radical left lunatics, and what's that all about? I mean, they're fighting us because we want to stop crime. Where do these people come from? They're paid money. I guess they're paid a lot of money. But like I saw that ridiculous march the other day, I say, these people are not representative of our country. And not all of them, of course, but many of them are total lowlifes. These are lowlifes. These are people that are paid agitators.
This was a Saturday march. It was on the weekend, and millions of people turned out across the country with a pretty unified message. There was no violence. There was nothing that was agitated. This was not a riot. It was a protest. It was a walk. There were picket signs. It was literally America to its core. I don't know how that doesn't represent America. You know what doesn't represent America is the White House actively blocking the press from documenting Trump's disaster renovation. Trump has been tearing down the East Wing, and the White House has been doing everything they possibly can to block the press and make sure that nobody understands. This is what doesn't represent America. This is not representative of America. And I just want that to be crystal clear. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate the videos we make on this channel, make sure you're subscribed below. We'll continue to break this down every day. Love you all. Peace out.